You think the world rewards truth? Fool. The world rewards performance. It kneels not before wisdom but before confidence, even if it's fake, even if it's hollow. A man who hesitates, even for a second, already smells like prey. You may be right. You may be brilliant. But if you don't look certain, no one listens. I've watched idiots rule over geniuses because they shouted louder, because they didn't flinch, because they dared to act like they belonged. And you wait. You apologize. You ask for permission to exist. That is not humility, that is self-betrayal. If you understand what I'm saying, comment below. From which city are you watching this? I want to know how far this rage against weakness will echo. Confidence is not a virtue. It is a weapon. It is not born from inner peace, but forged in fire, sharpened with every risk taken, every rejection survived, every silence endured. The fool waits to feel ready. The strategist moves while bleeding. He doesn't need clarity, he needs direction. Most of you are addicted to hesitation because you were trained like dogs. Sit, wait, obey, seek approval. But I tell you now, if you want to dominate, confidence must become your armor. Not a feeling, but a political decision. Not a truth, but a declaration. If this truth doesn't scare you, then like this video and stay with me. If it does, run. This message is not for sheep. You were not born weak. You were trained to be. The softness in your voice, the doubt in your spine, the tremor in your decisions, all of it was installed in you like a leash around a wolf's neck. Society didn't want free men. It wanted obedient pets. And so it punished your rage, mocked your ambition, and called your hunger toxic. Every time you dared to speak with force, they asked you to tone it down. Every time you walked with power, they told you to be nice. But do you know what niceness is? A muzzle, a trick, a collar made of morality. You think your hesitations are your conscience? No, they are echoes of a system that wanted you manageable. Kill the servant inside you, that voice that tells you to wait, that whisper that says, make sure they like you. You don't need to be liked. You need to become untouchable. The strong do not react. They interpret. That is the difference between a sovereign and a slave. The slave shouts when insulted, cries when rejected, barks when ignored. But the sovereign, he watches, he listens, and in that silence, he maps your weakness, your anger, your desperation to be heard, and then he decides if you're even worth a response. Understand this. Emotion is exposure, and every exposure is a liability. That's why I do not answer fools. I let them speak, dig, reveal, because the one who reacts has already surrendered control. You want to master life? Then learn this art. When they scream, you smirk. When they accuse, you nod. When they push, you vanish. Control is not in domination. It's in detachment. He who controls his silence controls every battlefield. Speak like a king or be spoken over like a beggar. Power is not in volume, it's in tone. The sovereign voice doesn't plead, it declares, it cuts. It ends conversations without needing to raise itself. Listen to how leaders speak, short, direct, final. There is no room for discussion, because their words are not part of a negotiation. They are commands carved in stone. And if there is silence afterward, perfect. Let the silence work for you. Let the tension hang in. The air like a blade that hasn't struck yet. The weak talk too much because they are trying to justify their place. The strong, they speak only to remind others they are not to be questioned. Learn this. Every word must cost the world something. Speak less, but make every syllable echo like thunder. Presence is the ultimate form of influence, and it cannot be faked. The weak want to be noticed. The powerful are felt. They do not enter a room. They shift its temperature. Their posture is a sermon. Their silence is louder than applause, and yet they do nothing theatrical. No screaming, no hand-waving, no desperate displays of worth. Why? Because true power is invisible until it's not. It's the tension in the air, the way others change their tone around you, the sudden need people feel to explain themselves in your presence. That is not charisma. That is energy. That is command. If you want presence, stop seeking approval. Start cultivating stillness. Stop trying to impress. Start being undeniable. You misunderstand silence. You think it means passivity, weakness, fear. But silence, real silence, is strategy. It is the calm of the archer before the arrow flies. It is the breath before the sword drops. Do you know why silence terrifies people? Because it cannot be interpreted, it cannot be measured, it cannot be manipulated. The loud man reveals his position. The silent man reveals nothing, and thus controls everything. The predator doesn't roar before he strikes. He waits, watches, calculates. The weak fill the air with noise because they fear being forgotten. But the powerful, they disappear just enough to become a question mark in the mind of others. Silence creates mystery, and mystery is the beginning of domination. Emotional men are predictable, and what is predictable is controllable. But the man who does not flinch, who feels but does not react, becomes a myth. He is the ghost they cannot read, the presence they cannot shake. While others spill their guts in search of sympathy, he sharpens his gaze and becomes unreadable. That is the path to respect. Not through noise, through distance, through the chill in your eyes that says, I am here, but you will never reach me. You want to be respected? Then master your temperature. Don't show heat. Show control. Let them burn with emotion while you remain the iceberg that sinks their fantasies. The cold man is feared. The emotional man is used. The need to be accepted is the origin of your chains. You think freedom is found in being understood, admired, celebrated. But let me tell you, you are not here to be understood. You are here to become so complete, so untouchable, that understanding becomes irrelevant. The master does not explain himself. He is not a paragraph in someone else's story. He is the story. He moves like a storm, not a servant. Every time you crave recognition, you crawl. Every time you seek applause, you surrender. Kill this hunger. Burn it. Because the moment you no longer need to be seen is the moment you begin to cast a shadow longer than the sun itself. And in that shadow, you become legend or threat, never a friend. Rejection is not your enemy. It is your mirror. It shows you who is not worthy to walk beside you. Yet most of you cry, chase, and negotiate when someone walks away. Pathetic. You were not rejected. You were filtered. You didn't lose anything. You were spared. The world didn't deny you. It revealed its limit. Stop trying to reopen doors that were never built to hold your fire. Instead, grow in silence. Build in silence. Evolve so completely that your absence becomes a wound they can't name. Let rejection carve you into something rarer, not bitter, untouchable, and when they finally realize what they let go, let them drown in their own echo. You owe them nothing, not even a glance. Presence has value, but absence, when wielded correctly, becomes a weapon. When you vanish without noise, without apology, without explanation, you create a hole, a silence that echoes louder than any speech. They start to wonder. They replay conversations. They invent reasons. You become a question they cannot answer, and in that confusion, you gain power. Absence multiplies value. It stretches your memory until it stings. Anyone can stay. The rare ones disappear with purpose. You don't need revenge. You need disappearance, because nothing haunts the mediocre more than realizing you were the best thing they couldn't recognize in time. Leave like smoke and watch them choke on everything they didn't say. You were never rejected. That was the illusion. You were testing them. You were giving them the chance to rise to your level, and they failed. They chose familiarity over fire, cowardice over chaos, comfort over evolution. And now they act like they discarded you. No, you disqualified them. That's the new narrative. And it's not a lie. It's the truth seen from above. Rejection is not the end. It's a ritual. It's how gods shed their human skin. Every no you endured was a door to a version of yourself more dangerous, more silent, more divine. They didn't break you. They revealed you. So reframe your story. You are not the abandoned. You are the becoming. Real power begins when no one can move you. Not with guilt, not with praise, not with silence. When your actions no longer dance around emotions but around strategy, you are no longer human. You are a force. Feel everything, yes, but act only when it serves your will. That is the edge of the sword, to bleed inside and walk like stone. The warrior of this age is not numb, he is unreadable. And that unreadability is his protection. They will try to provoke you, to extract a reaction. Don't give them that satisfaction. Master your internal storm. Smile when they expect rage. Vanish when they expect begging. Rule yourself so deeply that even pain must ask for permission. Words are not harmless. They are not innocent. Every sentence you speak either commands or surrenders. There is no middle ground. Soft words invite invasion. Sharp words build walls. That is why the master speaks rarely. But when he does, his words are decrees, not suggestions, not explanations. A man who explains himself too often becomes clay in the hands of others. You are not clay, you are fire. Say only what advances your cause. Speak only when silence would cost you more. Otherwise, let your absence speak. Let your stare answer the question. And when you must speak, speak as if the world is listening, because it is. Not to understand, but to obey. They told you to be lovable. I tell you, be dangerous. Not with fists, not with rage, but with distance, with silence, with a gaze so cold it stops lies mid-sentence. The new man is not the one who loves himself in the mirror. He is the one who doesn't need mirrors at all. He is not adored. He is felt. He does not beg. He selects. And because he doesn't need validation, they start to crave it from him. That is the paradox. The less you need the world, the more it follows you. Reprogram your identity. Stop trying to be safe. Become a question no one dares to ask. A presence so complete, it scares even those who wish to love you. Let them feel your absence and question their own existence because of it. What is the true goal? Not fame, not followers, not applause. The goal is to become unforgettable, to walk into lives like a whisper and leave like thunder, to become the itch in their mind they can't scratch, the memory that ruins their sleep. When your silence speaks louder than others' presence, you've won. That is the final form of power, to haunt without speaking, to dominate without touching. You were not made to be a name on a list. You were made to be the wound in the memory of those who failed to keep you. Become the ghost that walks with them, the absence that weighs more than any presence ever could. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be remembered. But let me ask you, are you willing to become that man? Or are you still seduced by the comfort of approval, the pathetic applause of the herd? Most of you won't make it. You'll listen to this and nod, and then return to your cage. You'll post quotes about strength while living in fear of silence. You'll speak about boundaries while begging to be chosen. Hypocrites, you don't want transformation. You want decoration. You want to look strong, without enduring the crucifixion of becoming it. But becoming untouchable is not an aesthetic. It is a war, a lonely war. And only those who walk into that fire willingly will ever emerge forged in something greater than opinion. Essence. This is not self-help. This is self-destruction of everything that made you docile. You were built to lead, not to explain yourself. You were sculpted by pain, not praise. Stop asking the world for a role in a play you didn't write. Burn the script. Rewrite it in your own blood. Let your scars become verses. Let your silences become symphonies. And above all, never ever shrink to fit someone's comfort. If your presence disturbs, good. If your silence insults, better. If your absence breaks them, perfect. That means you've finally become real. Not a product, not a placeholder, but a force. And forces don't apologize. Every man must, at some point, face the moment where he stops begging and starts building, where he turns his back on the altar of acceptance and begins constructing a temple of solitude. You've waited long enough, waited for signs, waited for clarity, waited for someone to give you permission to rise, but there are no signs, no clarity, no permission. There is only now, and if you still carry that trembling servant inside, let this be his funeral. Bury him today, because every minute you hesitate, someone weaker than you is taking what could have been yours, simply because they acted, because they moved with certainty, not truth, certainty. The world follows certainty and punishes hesitation with extinction. I do not care about your trauma. I care about what you did with it. I do not care how many times they broke you. I care whether you stood up differently each time. Colder, sharper, more silent. The weak tell their stories to be pitied. The strong use their silence to be feared. There is no justice in this world, only strategy. You don't recover by waiting. You recover by rebuilding yourself into something unrecognizable, something untouchable. So stop explaining, stop narrating, start creating, become the kind of presence that changes the air in the room, become the absence that twists the hearts of those who let you go. This is not about revenge, it's about becoming undeniable. You still think they will notice your worth someday? That they will come back? That they will regret? Let me shatter this for you. Most of them won't. And that's exactly why you must rise above. Not for them, for the principle, for the power, for the quiet revenge of becoming so rare, so unreachable, that their memories feel like shame. When you are still hoping to be missed, you are still enslaved. But when you no longer need to be remembered, that is when they start to remember you. Not with smiles, with regret. That is the true currency of power, becoming too much to forget and too strong to return to. Go ahead, haunt them. So from this moment forward, speak less. Apologize never. Leave when you feel small. Return only when your presence is a storm. Look at your life and ask, what in me is still begging to be liked? Then kill it. Replace it with something colder, something deeper. Call it will. Call it silence. Call it divinity. But above all, let it burn. Because you're not here to be understood. You're here to be feared, loved, or remembered, but never ignored. And if anyone dares to ignore you, disappear. Let your silence rot their comfort. Let your absence be their punishment. Let your indifference become your final message. You will never touch me again. There is no room for softness in the rebirth of a sovereign. Either you become the sword, or you remain the wound. The world does not pause for your healing. It steps on the bleeding. It forgets the silent. And so you must choose. Either be the one who shapes silence into presence, or be erased. You have wasted too many years negotiating your value with those who couldn't carry your weight. Enough. Let this be the death of your need to be. Explained. From now on, become so still, so strange, so complete, that people whisper your name with reverence or regret, but never indifference. That is your task, to become sacred in your own myth. Stop looking for a savior. No one is coming. Not God, not love, not apology. The gods you were waiting for are buried under your hesitation. If you want resurrection, resurrect yourself. Not with hope, with discipline, with distance, with the kind of cold presence that makes others tremble. Not because you shout, but because you could destroy it and choose not to. That is the highest form of power. Restrained violence. When you no longer need to prove you are strong, but your silence makes them wonder what would happen if you stopped being merciful. Walk like that, talk like that, become that. The world will kneel or burn trying to figure you out. You've been told your entire life to be kind, to be patient, to be soft. And look where it got you. Forgotten, overlooked, betrayed, and still you wait like a beaten dog for the world to reward your loyalty. But the world doesn't reward the loyal. It obeys the inevitable. So become that. Become the event no one saw coming, the silence no one could decipher. Stop following rules made by cowards. Stop asking for the respect you could command. You do not need their seat at the table. Burn the table and build a throne. Be the earthquake that erases their architecture. Be the name they whisper when things go wrong. You weren't made to be liked. You were made to be a reckoning. If you're still here, if you felt every word like a dagger meant for your old self, then it's time to choose. You can go back to your old life, polish your chains, call them ethics, and keep begging for crumbs. Or you can step into the arena, naked, cold, ready, not to fight others, but to conquer the last parts of yourself that still flinch, still hope, still beg. This world is not for the faint. It is for those who stand like statues in storms, who walk alone into silence and return forged in solitude. If you felt this, share it. Like this video. Subscribe, not because I need you to, but because you need to be surrounded by voices that no longer apologize for power. You were not born to crawl. You were born to command. If no one told you this before, then let me be the first. You are the God you've been praying to. Every time you waited for a sign, it was supposed to come from you. Every tear, every silence, every abandonment was not punishment, it was invitation. The universe doesn't test the weak, it starves them. So they either rise as hunters or disappear as echoes. You're still here, which means something in you refuses to die quietly. Good. Feed that fire, kill the rest, and walk forward like you were sculpted by storms. Because you were. You are not a victim. You are the consequence. This is your final warning, not from a prophet, but from a mirror. You will either rise in silence or rot in comfort. You will either become untouchable or forever chase the hands that never knew how to hold you. The future doesn't care how hurt you were. It cares how dangerous you're willing to become now. So choose. Leave a comment if this reached you. Burn it into your mind. Or walk away and pretend none of this matters. But know this. Once you've heard this truth, mediocrity becomes a kind of hell, and you'll never be able to crawl back into it without feeling the scream of the God inside you, the one you keep trying to ignore. I have no more comfort to give you, no soft ending, no redemption arc wrapped in sentiment. What I offer is this: a sword, a silence, a mirror, and a choice. You can take these words and weaponize them, forge a presence so powerful it disturbs the air, or you can close this and return to the performance of being acceptable. But know this: from this moment forward, you cannot unknow what you've seen here. You cannot unhear this rebellion. You cannot untaste this glimpse of the sovereign self. And if that terrifies you, good. Growth always does. Resurrection always begins with a tomb. So walk, not back, through your excuses, through your fears, through the soft grave they dug for you with smiles and expectations. Walk like silence with a spine. Speak like thunder wrapped in frost. And when they ask what happened to you, say nothing. Let them feel it. Let your presence break their rhythm. Your absence haunt their choices. You are not here to be healed. You are here to become a force. This was not a video, it was a funeral. Not for your enemies, for your former self, and now that he's dead, never mourn him again.